Coming up.
You said it. I'm ready to open up my spiritual relationship.
Yeah.
And my work is to help people crack open to that spiritual relationship. The firefighters are these extreme parts of ourselves, these protection mechanisms that are so extreme that they're there to put out the flames that we cannot face. I'm so proud of him. He's so wonderful. And I'm going to do some nice work with him right now so that he will feel, have a little bit more access to his higher self, and he'll be a great man for you. So hang on. Stick around for the miracles, honey.
His love life is talked about all over the internet. He was on Dancing with the Stars, despite not being able to dance. He once wrangled a kangaroo with his bare hands.
I did what?
He's your favorite reality TV fuckboy reformed. He can make a woman fall in love at first sight. He is Harry Jowsey, boyfriend material.
Yeah, you do everything.
I don't know.
Is it scary writing a book like that?
I'll help you write your book one day. I'll give you my number. We'll talk about the book. I'm really into it. I'll also give you some guidance on how to outline it. So
please. Okay.
Yeah.
Guys, welcome back to the podcast. Look, today we have a superstar guest. I'm very excited about it. I actually finished a book before this. I bought it for my friends. Very excited about it. But to give you the proper intro, you are a #1 New York Times bestseller author, host of a top charting podcast, Dear Gabby, motivational speaker, life coach, and overall spiritual teacher. Your newest book, Self-Help, is out right now, which is really, really good. I really recommend it. Like, I swear to God, I was passionate. Marshall, my producer, was passionate about finishing this. I actually sent it to Chloe before this. Like, it's a really good book. You need to get it. And that's just not because she's here. Like, it's actually a really good book. Hello, my love. How you doing?
Hi, my little brother.
Yeah.
It's official. I've anointed myself the big sister.
Really? What energy do I get?
I just feel...
You want to protect me?
Well, no, I actually don't
okay.
feel even protection. I feel that you have a strong draw to spiritual connection. And that you said it. You said it. I'm ready to open up my spiritual relationship.
Yeah.
And my work is to help people crack open to that spiritual relationship. And
yeah.
when I see it, I want to be there for it. So I'm
You're the
here
best.
for you.
What's going on, you little turkeys? We have an exciting merch giveaway. If you're listening on audio, please come straight to YouTube right now, because this is your chance to win and look cool doing it. We're going to be picking 3 winners that are going to get a sweat set. So you're going to get this hoodie and the matching pants. All you have to do to enter is subscribe to the YouTube channel, super easy, and then leave a comment on any YouTube video. Whatever one is your favorite, just comment the word possum and you're entered. The giveaway will run from today till March 7th at noon. And the winner will be announced on the March 11th episode, and hopefully it's you. So go subscribe and comment. Love you guys. Bye. Can't wait to see you looking sexy and snazzy.
Well, because the thing is, guys, we're talking a little bit about spirituality before this, but I guess because when you lose someone, you go on that quest to try and figure out what's going on. So I went and did this guy Bryce Crawford. He's got he's a Christian, and he was like preaching that. I'm trying to figure out which direction I want to go in, but I feel like they don't really like spirituality, and then I feel like spirituality isn't like the biggest fan of religion. Like, I don't know what group I belong to.
Let me give you the advice that Deepak Chopra gave me like 15 years ago.
Okay.
So I was giving a talk with Deepak 15 years ago. Maybe it was about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in his room and I'm like, Deepak, I'm studying A Course in Miracles. It's a metaphysical text. I'm studying yoga, this specific yoga, and I'm doing this. And I was like, I don't know, like, am I doing too many things? And he looked at me and he said, do whatever it takes to get closer to consciousness.
That was really good.
I'm pretty good at voices. Do whatever it takes to get closer to consciousness.
Yeah.
So there's no lean towards what you're drawn to. Go towards what feels right for you.
Okay.
Maybe it will be a religion. Maybe it will be a certain book or a teacher. Maybe it will be many things. But the spiritual connection isn't about who am I and what is my path. It's so much more about what resonates with me and what is going to crack me open to the divine and to a divine understanding of my own.
Wow.
Okay.
That's really special. Because I was asking my friend about it, he's a Christian as well. I'm like, my problem is, I feel like there's not like a big meetup for all the spiritual people. Maybe there is. I guess I haven't looked into it to be like, hey, like, let's all learn.
Welcome to my world.
Here we are. And then you appeared in my life.
Well, that's also very true too.
Yeah.
You know, ask and it is given. when
Right.
you start to crack open to that desire, or a loss of a parent, or you hitting a bottom, or for me, my spiritual life really started to expand when I was 25 and I got sober off of cocaine. And I had spiritual roots. My mom brought me up visiting ashrams and named by the gurus, but I turned my back on it. And when I was 25 and I hit that bottom was when my awakening really happened. In your instance here, it's you've had the loss of a very important person, your father.
Yeah.
That's going to crack you open and say, there's got to be more than this.
Yeah.
And even just saying those words, there's got to be more than this, that in itself starts to open an invisible door for Gabby Bernstein to come on the show or whatever it might be,
Yeah.
right? So it's going to be like boom, boom, boom. It's going to feel fast too.
Wait, it's kind of crazy. The sobriety with me as well. Like as soon as my dad died, I quit nicotine. I had a problem with kratom, everything. Legitimately, as soon as he died that day, I just threw it out. It's kind of
Good for you.
It's awesome.
Good for you.
Yeah, but now I'm just
Yeah.
addicted to caffeine, so I got to pull back.
You
on
know, when you first put down those drugs of choice or the drink or the drug, it's like you need the caffeine, you need the sugar. It's just like just do what you can do.
Yeah.
Also, self-help. That's a good book for healing those patterns.
Yeah, do you want to touch on it a little bit? Because IFS, isn't that inner child work? Because
Yeah, in many ways.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is my 10th book. And
10 books?
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
How many hours in a day do you
I
have?
know. I wrote 10 books in 14 years. I don't know.
What are you doing? You're so busy.
You know, I'm actually doing I'm doing things differently now. But for many
Yeah.
years, I'd be on a plane writing the next book that I was on the book tour. I was on a book tour for one, writing the next book.
Yeah.
But it's because I have so much I want to teach and so much I want to share. And
Okay.
this book, this new one, Self-Help. So my other books are more spiritual, as I mentioned. We've got The Universe Has Your Back or Super Attractor. This one in particular is very spiritual, but it's based on a therapy. And the therapy is called internal family systems therapy. And it's a practice that I've been doing for almost a decade with.
But it was like unintentional, right? You
Yeah,
did-
totally backwards. Yeah. I was in my own therapy with my therapist, long time. I've been with her about 7 to 8 years. And we were doing this practice, but I didn't know what it was called. And I was watching YouTube and I saw this guy, Dick Schwartz, talking about his therapy he invented. Yeah. And I think it was maybe like him and Tim Ferriss or something. And he was talking about this therapy. I was like, holy shit, that's the thing I've been doing this whole time. I became this obsessed with his work, had him as the third person on my podcast in 2021, and expressed my desire to teach it. And he said, you got to get trained in this. And so I went on and I became a practitioner in IFS. And I was really privileged to be one of the last people who was not a licensed therapist to get this training. So now they only offer it to licensed therapists. So
That's not fair.
It is, and I'm actually
Give it
trying to help
to
them.
everyone.
Well, actually, that's sort of the nature of the book, right?
Yeah.
I went to Dick and I said, my gift is to democratize and demystify and simplify. And so with your permission, I'd like to make this self-help. And he was like, hell yes, go. And he's like a brother to me. And I took his body of work and I made it a self-help practice.
What made you go sit down and like, I need to write this book and get it out there?
I write my books normally. The first 9 books I wrote for myself first.
Okay.
I wrote a book called Happy Days about healing trauma, and that was when I was going through my trauma recovery. And I wrote The Universe Has Your Back when I was just really wanting to ground in my faith. And I wrote Super Attractor when I was really manifesting. And my first book is called Add More Ink to Your Life, and I was like the hip guide to happiness when I was like 28. You know,
need a library. There's so many books.
A library. So all these books,
So many books.
they came from me. I wrote them for myself
Okay.
and for where I was. But this one I wrote for everyone because I had been given this gift of this therapy that had changed me on such a core level, on such a guttural level that I knew that I had to share it. And I knew that I had to be the translator. Truly. So this one was for the reader first.
Well, in the start of the book, you were talking about how there was that, I think, like personality that came in where you're like, you have to finish it right now. You have to go. And then how did you pull yourself away from, or do you want to explain that a little bit?
Yeah, I'll
better?
talk it through. Okay.
Because that was really interesting for me because I get that. I think we all get that where we just like we're like, no, I have to force myself to finish this work. But you were like, as soon as I took a step away, it just flowed and it was way better. Right?
Yes. So in IFS, it talks about how we have these exiled experiences from our childhood. So trauma with a big T or a small t. In my case, I had sexual abuse as a child, neglect, and that was extreme. In some other people's cases, it could be like being bullied by the kid on the playground. But these are traumas nonetheless. And when we're little and we don't have the adult caregiver to help us process that experience, we go into what's called a protector mode. And the protection mechanisms that we reference in our life, right? So maybe when you feel triggered, you get into rage, or maybe in my case, if you feel out of control, you try to control everything, or, so these parts of us that can feel extreme, patterns, behaviors, beliefs, like I'm not good enough. These parts of us have been around forever. Right? You think about the extreme patterns that you might have, or the beliefs that you might have that kind of keep you getting in. How long have those parts of you been around? Forever.
Yeah.
Because what they are like little people inside of us, little children that are like forced into these adult roles, and they're just trying to protect you from not ever feeling those exiled feelings from that moment in time where you felt that trauma.
Yeah, I think I'm like a self-sabotage king. That's what I realized.
That's a protector.
Yeah, there was this, I've been seeing someone recently, and she's like the most special person I've ever met in my entire life. But I made one little lie, and I'm like, I'm trying not to be that guy anymore. And then it wasn't like a bad lie. It was just like, just some stuff that happened in the past. And it was like not relevant to our relationship or what direction we're going. But for me, I was like, okay, here we go again. And I already put it out in the universe. I was like, watch me just self-sabotage something special again, which is really frustrating. And I'm trying to work on that. But I guess the first step is acknowledging that that's a terrible little child and he's naughty.
Well, actually, let's be more compassionate.
Okay.
It's not a terrible little child. It's a little child who experienced some uncomfortable stuff, and he's carrying a belief that it's too good to be true. Whatever the belief is, I'm not going to give it to you. You have to decide what that belief is. And my work in this 4-step practice, which we could even do with the little guy, is check in with him.
Yeah.
And kind of just, instead of saying he's a bad little boy, which is what we,
I want to spank him.
I want to spank him. I'm going to go pick up a drink, or I'm going to go do this thing, or I'm going to just not have to feel that because I'm mad at this part of me. It's about befriending that part of you.
Yeah.
And when we befriend these younger parts of ourselves, what happens is they start to notice that there's this different energy inside of us, and that there's compassion inside.
Well, that was the thing I realized yesterday as well. And so the girl I've been seeing, very spiritual, very in tune with her intuition, like very tapped in.
Great.
As soon as I self-sabotaged, as soon as I got caught out on this lie, I immediately pulled back. Like I was immediately like, okay, I need to take a step back. My thing is like, I'm being self-reflective and I'm like beating myself up about this. Like I really was like getting sad about it. And I didn't even reply for like 30 minutes. And she's like, hey, I feel like you're pulling back, even though I was with a friend or whatever else. And I'm like, damn, she's good. Like
she's got it.
She knows. Like
yeah.
She's in. But how do I?
I'll give you the steps.
Yeah, because the 4-step check-in process.
Yeah.
Can you explain that for the people?
So first, how would you said it's a self-sabotage. So would you maybe identify that as like a self-sabotaging aspect or part of you?
Yeah, I think when things are going too good, I think it's like a non-deserving. Like, oh, I don't deserve this type of love, or I don't deserve this type of happiness.
Can we check in with that part of you?
Let's do it.
You down for it? Okay,
yeah.
So I'll teach the steps by doing it with you, because I feel you have a lot of access to that guy, that little guy. So. Yeah, you do. Okay, you really do. How old are you?
27.
I'm so proud of you.
Really?
I'm so proud. You're so fabulous, my friend.
Oh,
like you're just on such a
Can
gorgeous
you tell
path.
this to the girl that I'm seeing?
I'm so proud of him. He's so wonderful. And I'm going to do some nice work with him right now so that he will feel, have a little bit more access to his higher self, and he'll be a great man for you. So hang on. Stick around for the miracles, honey. Stick around for the miracles. Okay.
This is great.
So you can just take that video, just give it to every woman you date for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I'm already good. Yeah, I'm going to send it to everyone. It's going to be pinned to my profile.
Exactly. So the first step is to choose to check in with that guy, right? So he's up for you right now, and he's a protection mechanism. Can we see that might be possible?
Yeah.
Recognize that it's like this sabotage is kind of protecting me, and maybe we don't know what it's there for yet. We'll find out now. Okay. So the first step is to choose to check in with him. And you kind of already done that because you said, yeah, Gabby, we can check in, right? So you got permission from the little guy inside to check in?
So. Yeah.
Okay. Check in. He's like, okay.
He's good.
And the next step is to give him some curiosity. So I'll ask you the questions, but typically in self-help, this practice, you would ask the part yourself, okay? So when you tap into that guy, where do you feel him in your body?
I think like right in here.
In your stomach?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like right there.
Okay. And is there any kind of image or sensation or color attached to it?
I think the sensation is about protecting. It's like, I don't want to be hurt. And I think that's the biggest thing is in previous relationships when it hasn't been there. It's like, okay, well, you're just going to get hurt. Like it always ends up like this. So I think that is where it comes from. There's like bright colors. I see a green and then I'll go to orange, but that's my favorite color. So I'm probably just thinking of that because I love that color. But I think that's the biggest thing is what I feel is that you're just scared to get hurt again. And so you're just going to ruin this and hurt her. And that's what I don't want to do because she's amazing.
Okay. How long has that part of you been around?
Probably ever since the first dating show. Yeah. Maybe before then, but when I noticed it or when I was like, oh, okay. And I would text my friends like, watch me, I'm a self-sabotage king. And I would always make a joke out of it because I guess that's my personality is like whenever something traumatic is going on or something I'm not proud of, I just like try and laugh it off.
Are there any images or memories that are associated with that part?
When I was in high school and first breakup and I'm just sitting in bed like, oh, you know that pain when you're like crying, you're like, oh, I feel like I'm going to explode because I'm so heartbroken. I thought I was going to marry her, but I'm only like 14 and I just lost my virginity to her. So like that pain. Okay. Yeah, I feel that. I think that's why it's in there.
You feel a lot of connection to him right now, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the third question is compassionate connection.
Yeah.
And it's just asking him what he needs. What does he need?
Less fear, more trust, maybe. I think that's what I'm feeling. Like it just less fear in being hurt, more trust in something good will come out of it, whether it's a lesson or love.
Does he trust you?
Probably not.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, not yet.
Yeah.
Does he know that you're there?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. And so he knows you're there, but he doesn't trust you yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you give him a little breath? Just like breathe into that space in your stomach.
Yeah.
And just sort of let him know, like, I'm here. Okay. One more breath in to him. Okay. Just let him know that you'll check in with him sometimes when he's activated.
Yeah.
How do you feel right now?
I kind of at peace with it because I've never done this.
Okay.
And like really nice because like even like when I was out yesterday, I'm like, I just could feel that self-sabotage creeping in. Like, oh, I should do something to make sure this girl doesn't talk to you again, or you should say something that's going to like sabotage it. But I pull myself. I'm like, no. Like I'm going to leave this situation. I'm not going to do this or whatever else. So I think that's obviously a big part of growth. And especially, acknowledging that and that little guy. Cause I think that is my biggest killer. Like that's my biggest problem. And
he's afraid of being hurt, which we've learned now.
Yeah.
Do you feel more connected to him right now?
Yeah.
Do you feel any compassion towards him?
Yeah, for sure. He's
okay,
just,
nice.
Little
nice.
sad 14-year-old.
You feel compassion? Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Do you feel a little calmer around him in this moment?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have clarity about him? You have more clarity. You do.
Yeah, it's
right?
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have a little bit of courage maybe to just kind of connect with him a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it's so crazy because there's this problem that happened yesterday. And then I was like, oh, I don't want to self-sabotage. Now you're here.
Yes.
And we're talking about it.
And we're helping him.
Yeah, and I hope she doesn't watch this bit.
Well, maybe it's good if she does. Because here's the thing. He doesn't need to be pushed down. And he doesn't need to be shut down or judged, or he's not a bad boy. He's a very innocent child who's just doing his best to stay safe inside.
Yeah.
And all that he needs is to know that you're here, and to know that it's called self inside. And the self energy is what you've just accessed beautifully. It's the calmness, it's the connection to him, the curiosity towards him, the compassion. Like when I asked you, are you compassionate? Your whole face lit up. You're like, he's just a little guy.
Yeah.
That guy inside, he needs you. As Dick Schwartz would say, you are the one you've been waiting for. He needs you.
Wow.
And so when you get triggered, like you're like, oh shit, I'm going to go self-sabotage, or even after you do, it doesn't matter how far down the road you get. And you're like, I see that he's there. Instead of checking out, and because she even called you out on checking out.
Yeah.
You know, she's like, where'd you go? You know, instead of checking out and being like, I'm just going to fuck this up, instead of blowing shit up, check in. And just, I'll give you my app. And in the app, there's like audio. So there's audio meditations, just like what we just did. So I'll guide you through it. You'll just listen to, you'll get Gabby. I'll be right in your pocket.
Please.
And you can just go and just guide yourself through those 4 steps, or I'll guide you through them. And you check in with him. And then what happens is after that really quick few minutes, you'll check in, you'll feel this compassion for him. You'll feel that connection for him. You'll feel that courage. You'll feel creative energy kind of flowing through you. This is all self energy. Self is like, there's a quote in the book by this man, Stephen Kranz, and self is like the sun behind the clouds, and the clouds are the protectors. And when we start to soften those protectors, the clouds can emerge and the self can come through naturally. Wow. And so self is here to help. That's why it's called self-help. And so what will happen in these moments is, now I want you to consider, now that you have access to this guy, that instead of speaking as him, you know, which might mean like being too cool, or like, you know, trying to self-sabotage or whatever it is, speak for him. Give her a call. Say, hey, I got a part of me that's real young. He's been around for a long time, or however it comes through for you naturally. But just, I self-sabotage shit. And I'm noticing that I'm doing it here. And maybe you're not ready to do that yet, but it may happen more naturally. And you get to speak for these parts rather than as these parts.
Wow. Yeah. I think she would probably appreciate that.
She would love it. Like, let me tell you something. If I was in my 20s, when I was in my 20s, if a dude called me and he was like, or ever really, and my husband and I can do this now because we've done IFS therapy for so long. But if somebody called, if you called me, if I was dating you and you called me and you were like, hey, you know, listen, I have this part of me that self-sabotages, and like, it's a young part of me that's been doing it for a long time, and just like, if you notice it, I just want you to know that like this is this thing that happens. I'd be like, that is hot.
Okay.
That there's first of all, here's the thing. There's nothing sexier than your authentic truth. And so, you know, you're a beautiful man, but you're also authentic and you're vulnerable. And that, I think, is what women are going to fall in love with. And that's what's going to make those relationships last. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter how cool you are or whatever you say. It's about the energy that you put out. And it's about the connection and the vulnerability and the truth.
I want to get your take on this, because yesterday as well, it was the first time that I guess she's seen or heard, we were texting when I was around my friends. She's like, oh, you're a completely different person. And I got a little bit nervous about that. And then again, my brain was like, okay, I'm self-sabotaging. I'm trying to be way too cool and like nonchalant.
Tell her that.
Else. Well, she was like, no, it's funny. And I'm like, well,
she's a very smart woman.
She's the best ever. I think the best thing about this like fresh little whatever we got going on is that I tell her, I was like, you make me want to be like a way better man. Like
Nice.
I wake up and I'm doing my absolute best to tell you more than you need to know about what's going on in my life, just because I don't want there to be any weirdness or whatever else. And I guess, I don't know, I feel bad because I'm like, is this the biggest lesson? Am I trying to like over explain or over compensate because maybe I haven't been the best boyfriend or the best partner in the past, which is also like weird for me to, I don't know, I'm trying to like, I think I'm overanalyzing everything.
How
I'm
would
doing.
you feel if you had permission to just sort of tell her these things? If you were like, you know what, let me just tell you the truth. How does that feel in your body when I suggest that?
The best. And I feel like she gives me that space.
Okay.
And we legitimately talk about everything.
Okay.
Like everything that my brain could think of. And like the first time we hung out, for example, she asked me so many questions that I kept apologizing. I'm like, sorry, I'm sorry, I'm talking about me too much. And she's like, no. And I'm the first time I've ever had that. And I'm like, you are really like incredible. Because number one, I love talking about myself. I have a podcast. No, but
Enough about me. Let me tell you about my book. You know.
Yeah. But I just kept apologizing. I'm like, this is really incredible. But I don't want to blow up a spot too much because she told me not to talk about it on a podcast. But
too late now, honey.
Yeah.
But we got you. I'm making this going to be a very good relationship. Okay. No, but I think here's the thing. I think that the simplicity here is keep checking in with that little guy. Let him know that you're there. 2 minutes a day, 4 steps.
Okay.
You got that. I'm going to give you the app. It's going to be right there. I'm going to coach you wherever you need it. And then you're going to start to do it on your own naturally and develop that skill, because real spirituality is accessing self-energy. Self-energy is God. Self-energy is your dad. Self-energy, that it's a resonance. It's an energy field. It's not, okay, this higher power that's outside of me. It's an energy that's within me. And so when you're connected and in that self energy of compassion and calmness and curiosity and creativity, you're a super attractor. You're in God energy. So what happens is we all are born in that self energy, very innocent, very pure, creative, connected, compassionate, calm, curious. And then shit happens. We don't have anyone to help us repair it. And we go into a world of just protection. And we just keep protecting and protecting and protecting and blocking and blocking and blocking that ease and that light inside. And so now here you are saying, I want spirituality. What visualize this. You just, each time you check in or meditate or pray or whatever it is, you're taking these bricks off this wall and dismantling the blocks to the presence of that energy that's already in you.
You're good. This is why you've done 10 books.
Truth.
Yeah.
It's truth.
What advice would you give to people that are struggling with dating? Would it be the first of check in or figure out what is that roadblock?
It depends on, like, there's light advice and then there's deep advice, right? Okay. So the light advice, simply put, for the people who are like, I don't want to read the book that says self-help on it, they may not be ready for that. The light advice is have more fun. Okay. Because really, like I said before, what's most sexy about someone is their authentic truth. And so you see it, right? Like somebody could be perfectly dressed, but their energy is completely like their best everything. You're super sexy, but their energy is just off and you're just like not into it. Energy is what is attractive. And so being in joy, just doing more of what brings you joy, having more fun, doing the things that light you up, being in creative projects starts to ignite that sexy energy. Okay, so that's number one. Yeah. Be more real. Be yourself. My husband and I were together from 27 to when I was about 29, and we were together for those years. And then in that time, I was like trying to be the cool girl, right? So I was like, doing anything he wanted, saying whatever he wanted, sort of like being like holding back, like not always sort of being. I'm crazy. I'm like wacky, right? And I was not being. I wasn't being wacky. I wasn't being crazy. I was just being like this cool girl. It was like whatever, whatever you want, I'll hang out. And then I was so fed up with that pattern because I felt like this dude doesn't like show up for me, whatever. I broke up with him. And I said, you know what, this isn't, I want more than this. And in that year, I was like maybe dated 1 or 2 other people. But in that time, he and I became really good friends. So we would hang out. Good. Dude was still in love with me too. Okay. And I was still in love with him. Yeah. And so we hung out, we'd be hanging out. And when I was no longer his girlfriend, I was just fucking cool. I was just hanging out. I was cool. I was being me. And that year was when we actually really fell in love, the year that we were apart. And then 1 year later, or maybe it was less, maybe 9 months, back on the bus. Wow. My mentor saw him one time and he's like, oh, so you're back on the bus. He's like, and Zach goes, yeah, walking sucked.
Oh, good. I like it. Oh, that's
and we've
awesome.
been now married 11 years and been together 17 years. And it's just being yourself.
What work has helped you guys stay together so long? Because
What has
yeah, what
helped
work?
us?
Is it
therapy.
Okay.
I mean, we do IFS therapy. Here's the secret.
Okay. Yeah, give it to me.
The inner work on yourself.
Oh, damn it.
I know, and that's the truth. People are going to be like, I don't want. That's the relationship advice. That's the relationship advice. That's not light, but it's. But I told you 4 steps, 2 minutes a day. It's easy. Not going to break your day. And when we do exactly what you and I just did just now, the 4-step check-in, and let that little guy inside know that there's safety in there, then you start to feel safer inside. You start to feel like, you know what? I'm here to help him. I'm around. My adult resourced self energy is here. And so as you start to just deepen that connection, you feel more self-trust, and more self-trust allows you to be more of your authentic self. Wow. And that is what will keep that relationship. That's what will keep you in your less triggered space. That's what will allow you to speak for the part that wants to self-sabotage rather than as the part that wants to self-sabotage. And if you can show up for relationships in your self-energy, whether it sticks around or it goes, it's going to be whatever the miracle is. It's going to be what the universe has in store. Wow. And the outcome isn't going to matter.
Yeah.
Because you're going to know you showed up in self.
Wow. Can you speak on the 8 C's?
Yes. So this is self energy. And so self energy is calm, connected, curious, compassionate, confident, courageous, clear. And there's always going to be one that I'm going to forget. What did I say? Confident, connected.
Curiosity, calmness, connectedness, clarity, compassion, creativity, courage, and confidence.
Yeah.
It's a lot of C's.
It's a lot of C's. And think about it. You're dating somebody, right?
Yeah.
What do you like about them? They're curious. They ask you lots of questions.
So curious.
They're calm. Their energy feels good, right? They're courageous and they're confident. Confidence is hot. They're creative, right? These C qualities are what are so attractive about somebody. And so in these 4 steps, we just return to those qualities of self inside. We just slowly check in with that part, help it feel safer. And then that energy, just like we saw with you in real time, the calmness, the compassion, your whole vibe shifted. You were smiling about this little guy. It was beautiful.
Yeah. So you speak on exiles in the book.
Yeah.
How does someone confront or identify with them without being overwhelmed?
Well, I don't in this book want to go. The exiles are those little traumatized guys inside, and I think that's through therapy. I think I really recommend IFS therapy.
Yeah.
I've written one of my books is about trauma. It's called Happy Days, and so there's a lot of trauma related therapies in that book that I write about. So EMDR, IFS, somatic experiencing. I feel like we are guided to these different healing devices, whether they're therapeutic or spiritual, at the times when we're safe enough to receive that.
Wow.
And so if you're sitting here and you're like, wow, I've got a lot of trauma and I don't actually know where to start, say a prayer, set an intention. Okay, universe, show me where to go and what to do. And just keep saying that every day. Show me how to heal. And then what will happen is, boom, this podcast will come into your feed. Or boom, you're going to be guided to that book that just literally falls off the shelf. Like I can't tell you how many people have told me, oh my God, Gabby, your book fell off the shelf.
Wow.
Because we all have guides. We all have spirit guides.
Yeah.
And we have angels. I know you had Tyler on the show, so we can talk about this. And our guides are spiritual entities. Your father is a guide. We have angel guides. We have deceased loved ones. And they're always working on our behalf to guide us towards what is at the highest good. And it's on us to ask because they can't intervene without our permission. So we have to ask. And when we ask, it's given. So, you asked your dad for a sign and then you saw the 444. This is how you can live your life. You can walk through life feeling as though every moment is being guided. But you have to ask and you have to listen. And developing that attunement to that relationship, it's like any relationship. If you don't call your girl, she's not going to call back, right?
Wow. Yeah.
It's the same with the universe. It's the same with the spiritual connection. If you don't ask, you won't receive. And that it's just opening up to that awareness. It's that simple. So if you're listening right now, wherever you are in the world, and you're feeling like, this isn't it. This isn't exactly how I want to be living, or I'm really struggling with this thing. Just say this prayer. Thank you, universe, for showing me what to do.
Do you do that every day? Like, what's your
I live
daily
a spiritual life. People might say like, oh, like, what's your spiritual practice? What's spiritual part of your life? I live a spiritual life. Every moment I check in, every moment I'm witnessing my energy, every moment I'm noticing, okay, Gabs, you could have done that a little bit differently. Can you make amends right now? Okay, you're exhausted right now. What can we do to just do like a disco meditation and the Uber on the way to Harry? You know what I mean? Like it's tuning in. It's tuning in. And it's a practice. And sometimes it starts off as like, oh, that 5 minutes in the morning, but that feels good. So you're like, let me do that again in the afternoon. And that's why I've actually created my app, the Gabby coaching app, because I wanted to give people the opportunity to have a spiritual practice that was consistent. And to show them how to do it, because I spent my entire life, 45 years, on a spiritual journey. In the past 2 decades.
45 years? You're 45 years old?
I'm 45.
I thought you were 25. Look at you.
You're so
Beautiful.
charming, my love.
So
God
stunning.
bless. That was actually one of those condescending. I thought you were 25.
No, you look amazing. I didn't realize that.
Thank you. I love you. Thank you.
No, I love you so much. No,
It's the energía. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm studying
Oh.
Spanish.
Oh.
I was just in Mexico, so
Oh my God.
I've been doing my talks like half in Spanish. and half-
Gracias.
Sí, es muy importante.
You can speak Spanish?
Sí, un poquito.
She's perfect, guys. Okay, so I think that was the biggest thing with me is not being consistent.
Yeah.
So the app's gonna change my life.
I'm your coach. I'm in your pocket. I'm right there. I'm going to be there
Perfect.
for you all the time.
Because I realize whenever I'm sad is whenever I try and tap into it, like, or I'm driving and I'll play a song. Like, so there's this one song that we were carrying my dad's body out, and we played that song. This incredible artist from New Zealand, Tiki Tane, he's one of my sister's friends. He made this song and he gave it to us before it was released, and it's so incredible. It's so good. But anytime I put it on, I just cry and I get goosebumps, whatever else. I haven't listened to Ed Sheeran yet because there was this one song that my dad wanted when he was having his drink to go to sleep, and he put that on. You know what was funny? The ads came on.
No, you've got to be kidding. What was the ad?
No, I remember like the song was playing, and then it was like it cut to an ad, and then my sister
Was he still
like,
there when the ad came on?
No, he was like snoring really loud, and then everyone was like frantic, like put it on again, I'll play the next song, and I'm like,
some brevity.
yeah, I was like, of course, like this is the last, like actually the last prank that my dad did, we thought it was like, okay, he's done. And then my sister went to like move his head, and he took one last breath, went scared the absolute shit out of everyone. I was like, oh fuck, he's still here, I better go back in.
So good, so good.
But yeah, it was like I get I don't know what question I was asking, but I just get
the music connects you.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So this is like I was saying before, building a spiritual practice is not about, you know, I got to do it with this religion, or I've got to follow this path, or I've got to do this thing that's so rigorous. Actually, what works for you. It's kind of like exercising, right? It's like you're not going to, like when you force yourself to hit the gym in the ways that's not comfortable for you, it's not consistent. So you want to find that groove that feels good for you, so you want more of it. And so if you're saying, I feel spirit when I listen to music.
Yeah.
Do more of that, baby.
Yeah.
Just do more of that.
Sorry, there's a puppy.
He wants to hang out. But do more of that. Do the thing that ignites your energy. I remember when I was early in my spiritual career, in my 30s, actually that year I spent single, not with my husband, not so single. I like a lot of boyfriends. Don't tell him. Sorry, Zach. Sorry.
Sorry, Zach.
It was good. It was good. It made me know what I really wanted.
Yeah.
And but in that time, I would meditate for hours to Sigur Rós. Do you know Sigur Rós? Okay, you got to listen to Sigur Rós. So this is super trippy music, or like Helios is really nice just to meditate to. And I would just sit and I'd make these like epic meditations, and I would sit like on a Friday night and I was just meditating. And one of the things I taught at that time, because I was in my 30, I was 30,
Yeah.
so my audience was all like you. They were all like young, single, wanting to get married or wanting to date. That's where I was at.
Yeah.
My advice to them always was that spirit is your boyfriend. Get in that connection. When you have that connection to a spiritual relationship, you feel so much less needy, because you're like, ooh, I can feel that access to that energetic fulfillment that I want from a partner in my spiritual relationship. And that doesn't mean that I don't want that in a partner, but when I find that in my own spiritual connection, the right partner will be guided to me. He wants to come in.
She's very clingy.
Should we let her in?
See if she'll sit on me.
Yeah.
She can sit on my lap.
She's very needy.
Come here, baby. Oh my God, I really want to hold her.
Come on.
Here. Come on up, baby. Come on up, my baby.
Come on, Kai.
Come on, Kai. Come on, Kai. Come on. Oh my God, I love you so much. My makeup. Okay, Kai, chill.
Yeah, she's very excited, very clingy. Breathe into your gut.
That's the sweetest little baby I've ever seen.
Yeah, she's a little angel. She's so clingy. The most annoying thing though is like in the morning she'll just like lick my mouth, and I'm like, okay, it's 6 a.m. Like she'll sit on my head like this, and then she'll just turn around and just start licking my mouth. That's how I wake up. I'm like, I need a girlfriend ASAP, because I don't want my puppy licking my mouth.
I love her.
Yeah.
I'm going to work on her. Okay, let's go.
No, I actually named her Kai because the last beach that I took my dad to was called Kai Tiri Tiri. And I remember just laying there.
How old is she? 3 months old. She's a real babe.
Go say hi to Steph. What do you think the biggest myth about self-help is? Or spirituality? What is a better answer, I guess?
That it's hard.
Yep, okay.
That it's hard.
Okay.
Because you know what I'd ask the person that says, oh, self-help is hard or spiritual practice is hard. The first thing I would ask them is, well, how is it working out for you in the other way? How's life working out for you now? It's a lot harder to be checked out than it is to check in. When we make this simple commitment, 2 minutes a day, 4 steps, or 1 minute meditation or breath practice, and you just have that little shift inside. And like I said before, you have that little miraculous moment, which is the shift in your thinking. Okay, then you do it again an hour later, another little shift in your thinking. You keep adding up those little moment by moment shifts. Those are the miracles. And as you add up those miracles, that's when you live a miraculous life, because you start to feel the momentum of those shifts.
Wow.
And you're not putting the pressure on yourself to feel like I have to fix myself today.
Do you think with sobriety, because I was talking to one of my friends who's also super spiritual, he was telling me that if you're not sober, you can't open up that third eye and you can't connect to your higher self, which I kind of believe, because when I was on kratom and nicotine and stuff like that, I felt like there was a bit of a barrier.
Yeah.
What is your take on that?
Well, definitely. I mean, I think that, look, I've chosen a life of sobriety. It's 20 years now, well, 19 and a half years. And this is the only consciousness that I want to know. And this is definitely, my sobriety has gifted me my spiritual connection. If I had clouded it with drugs or alcohol, it would be much more difficult to access. Now, not everybody needs to be sober, like clean and sober, although of course it's an amazing life. And I am actually witnessing a lot of younger people now following the path of sobriety, because wellness is such a trend and people are really, really open to it. What sobriety has given me, I can really just speak for myself. It has given me this one consciousness, this knowing that I'm always going to show up, that I'm always going to show up, and a clarity and connection to a spiritual relationship and a connection to myself that otherwise would be masked, that would be very masked. So look, I'm not going to sit here and be like a cheerleader for sobriety, but if that's something that's being, that if whoever's out there watching and listening, if that's a call that's inside,
just do it.
Say yes.
Yeah, no, I think that was my biggest thing as well. Like whenever I would get drunk, the next 3 days I just felt fully disconnected to who I am. Like the next day I would just I would get angry because like I just wasted a day now for a night of fun, because now I'm in bed and I'm eating terrible food. And then I'd also, I think as well, like in those moments when I was in the chaos of it all, the last thing I was going to do was be spiritual or check in on myself or have those moments of reflection. But I think it was also, you kind of have to hit rock bottom at some point as well. And I was explaining this to my brother. I was like, the best thing about hitting rock bottom is that you never want to be there again.
Yeah.
And you acknowledge it and you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Time to work.
Yeah.
Time to work on ourselves.
That's exactly right. Well, there's a Rumi quote that is my mantra. The wound is the place where the light enters you. When you have the awareness of witnessing those dark moments, the loss, the bottoming out with the alcohol or the drugs, that is when the light enters you. That is when the invisible door opens. That is when you crack open to a vision of the world beyond your physical sight. Yeah.
With your sobriety, because I know a big part of my problem when I was indulging a little bit too much, it was the people around me. Was that similar for you? And how did you address that? Or how do you kind of be like, acknowledge that, okay, these people are not where I need to be?
I had one friend left from that time when I was using. And it's not that and actually the ones that I still have are actually got sober too, you know. Like you go to a 12-step meeting, you're like, oh, you're the hot guy from the club, you know, or you're the bouncer, right? Like you see your people there. And but the truth is that when you're young and you're getting sober, big adjustments are necessary, because it's like if you don't want to get your hair cut, don't go to the barbershop, right? So if you're hanging out with all the people that are still using, you're going to use. So it might have to be a little bit of an adjustment. But they'll be okay.
They'll be all good. They'll figure it out.
So
in the book you speak on firefighters and managers. Can you tell us what those are?
So the part of you that we talked to today that is the self-sabotager, might be a firefighter. Like in those or firefighters are the addicts. Firefighters are so a manager is like when I would control things, right? Like I feel triggered, I'm going to get into control mode. For maybe it's a self-sabotager. But we're kind of the protection mechanisms that are with us most of the time, day to day. And then when those stop working, right? So it's like something major happens. Dad dies. We lost this relationship or whatever it is. We're super triggered. those manager protection mechanisms aren't going to really work to keep down those flooded feelings. So what do? We pick up the drink, we pick up the drugs, we go to we numb out, we dissociate. Those are the firefighters. The firefighters are these extreme parts of ourselves, these protection mechanisms that are so extreme that they're there to put out the flames that we cannot face.
Wow. That is epic. You're really good at this, huh? So you wrote a whole book on it. So in the following scenarios, I want you to let me know if you think it's a manager or a firefighter being activated. Is that okay? Mm-hmm. I feel enraged and jealous every time my partner talks to their preferred sex.
Enraged and jealous. That's probably a manager. But then if the manager's like, I'm so enraged and jealous that I'm gonna go, like rage on that person. The rage on that person is the firefighter, right? So the feeling could be like, if they're gonna go rage, that would be the firefighter. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I went to the bar and blacked out after I had a hard conversation with my situation. Firefighter?
Yeah, blacking out, going to the drinks and the drugs, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's not about don't do that or judge that part. Check in with that part.
Yeah, how do you not judge these parts? Because I know that when we're self-reflective, the first thing we do is, like when I was going through my crazy time, I'm like, ew, I don't want to be that. And I would get grossed out and icked out by myself.
When I was writing this book, the year that I wrote Self-Help, I was a fellow at a recovery center. And every 21 days, they would bring in a new group of folks who were trying to get clean and sober. So, and I'd speak every month. So every month I'd walk in and it'd be a new group of 100-something people. They were all like 1, 2, 3 days sober. Some of them for the first time, some of them back from going out. And I'd come into this room and I would ask them the same question. They'd say, how many of you in this room have experienced trauma? Every hand went up, including mine. And then I would say, how many of you would do anything that it took to not have to face that feeling of that trauma again? Every hand went up. And then I say, well, wouldn't it make sense that you would do anything you could to put out the fire of that extreme pain, and that even using drugs and alcohol to the extreme lengths that you have would be the way that you would do it? And they'd all say, okay, yeah. And then I'd ask them, well, if you can see yourself as a person deeply trying to put out the flames of that trauma, can you witness that addict as a protection mechanism? Majority of the room would be able to get there. And some would be so angry with that addict that they'd be like, no fucking way am I going to see this as with compassion or see it as a protector. But a good, decent amount of the room would be like, oh shit, yeah, I have compassion for that addict because it's just trying to save me.
Yeah.
And so I can say to you, nearly 2 decades of sobriety later, that I have so much love and compassion for that cocaine addict. And I have gratitude for her because she was doing whatever she could at the time to keep me from a memory, actually. Because I shared that I had sexual abuse as a child, but I was dissociated from it until I was 36 years old. And I remembered it in a dream.
Fuck.
So when I was 25 using coke,
Yeah.
what was she trying to do? Numb that pain. And she was working really hard to try to keep me safe.
Wow.
So I have a lot of love and compassion for her now.
Damn, that is powerful. Okay, let's talk about relationships. Okay, what advice would you give for people who think or say to themselves, I'll never find anyone, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not lovable?
Advice for people who say, I'm not good enough, I'll never find anyone, I'm not lovable, is to witness and check in with that part of you that believes that. To check in with the part with the belief, because the belief is what's manifesting that reality. We manifest what we believe. So if you carry a belief that I'm not good enough, I'm unlovable, I'll never find that partner, then the energy that you're putting out is very deflective. You're like, I don't want this, I'm not, and that's what you're manifesting. The real manifesting flex to begin to attract that partner is to befriend and heal the belief that is blocking you from being able to receive that relationship. Wow. So the 4 steps that I talked about today are the path to undoing that belief system.
Is there a spiritual way to get over someone faster?
Yes.
There is?
Yes.
Wait,
oh,
what?
100%. 100%. Pray for them.
Oh.
Pray for them pray for them to have everything you want for yourself. Pray for them to find the love that they desire. Pray for them to have access to their own spiritual relationship.
Yeah. Okay.
Pray for them.
Okay. How do you think social media has negatively changed the way we connect with each other?
It's horrible. I think that, well, it's good and bad, right?
Yeah.
It does take away so much of that authenticity.
Yeah.
And it's those folks that are more authentic and truthful in their feed that I think can have a greater service to others. I can't imagine being single and being 27 right now. Like, I honestly can't. When I was your age, I mean, I think I had like a sidekick. You would have no idea what I'm talking about. It was literally like a brick. Like my phone was like, it was like this.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
This was my telephone.
Will you push it
like,
up?
I was like at the club. I'm like, yo.
Yeah.
Right? Like that was what and you would have to like flip it up. And then it was like, this weird like keyboard. Do you know what a sidekick is?
Yeah. I used to have one where you push it up like that.
Yeah, you flip it up. Okay.
Yeah.
And I was like in the club and I was like, writing people's names down on notebooks and going home and putting their emails in spreadsheets because I was promoting parties at the time. Wow. I was like, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So the thing that I think that would happen, I can't even contemplate a world right now where I would be having to navigate what you guys are navigating. So I think as much as you can get offline, the better.
It's so good.
Like meet me for a coffee.
Yeah.
Let's meet in person. Let's have a conversation. Go back to basics.
Yeah. Okay, before we wrap it up.
And call girls. Don't text. Just call her, please. She wants you to call her.
I tried to call one time.
Listen, girls, in the comments, let me know. Do you want the man to call you?
Yeah.
Tell me.
Okay, before we wrap it up, if you had to give one piece of life advice in 3 words, what would it be? Or you can do more words.
Turn inward.
Oh, look at you. This is why you're the best. Okay, is there anything you want to plug before we wrap it up for our beautiful ladies or men? Or
I want to just, just say that if folks are out there and they're feeling as though this isn't working out, whatever it might be, you have fears from your past, you feel stuck, you feel alone, you feel like you can't make that move forward, that there is so much hope inside.
Yeah.
And that if you're listening and you resonate with my work, 10 books are out there.
Yeah.
For the folks that are new to this stuff, my book, The Universe Has Your Back, is a beautiful book to begin. Self-help, if you want to really get the relationship stuff going. I think self-help is probably the best book there.
I can't wait to read The Universe.
I'm sending you a whole package.
Please.
Well, I'm your coach now.
Can you please? I need help.
I'll say this. I think that you're doing great.
Okay.
And I'm really proud of you. And I think that your ability to be this vulnerable and to be a man in this position, being so vulnerable and just telling your truth in this way is going to really help a lot of people. And I'm just proud of you. I think you're kicking ass.
I think it's tough with the social media space, especially when every relationship and any situation or any minor inconvenience gets like put on the public display. And then I'm also I'm at a point where I just don't care enough to respond.
Yeah.
So then I'm all like, well, I can't defend myself, and then I just look like an asshole. And it's like,
I'll give you some advice I gave Oprah. Okay, so I was 31.
Okay, yeah, please.
When I was 31, I was on Oprah's show on Super Soul Sunday, and Oprah asked me, she was like, "How do you handle the haters?" And I was like, "You care?" And this was when social media wasn't even nearly as crazy. This is 15 years ago. And I looked at her and I said, "Forgive and delete." Forgive and delete.
Yeah.
Because if somebody's out there in your feed talking shit about you, they're not happy.
Yeah.
They're just so miserable. The trolls out there that are just trying to troll you or just, there's something within them that is feeling so inadequate and so unlovable. And so say a prayer for them. I pray for you to have everything I want for myself. I pray for you to have peace. I pray for you to have love. And then if you feel called, you can block them and delete them if you need to. Otherwise, just leave it and be like, I pray for you.
I'm going to pray for everyone.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much for hanging out. If you did enjoy today's episode, please buy her book. Please check her out. We love her. Leave us 5 stars. Leave us a comment. And yeah, if you want me to call you, leave your number. No, actually, don't leave your number. Love you guys. That was amazing. Thank you.
If you want me to call you, I'll leave my number.
You're amazing. That was all.